So what you're looking at is one of the most amazing organs in your body. This is the human heart, and it's shown with all the vessels on it, and you can see the vessels coming into and out of it, but the heart at its core is a pump, and this pump is why we call it one of the hardest working organs in your body, because the heart starts pumping blood from the point where you're a little fetus and you're 8 weeks old all the way until the point when you die. So this organ, I think it will be really cool to look at it in detail, but it's hard to do that just looking at it from the outside. So what I did is I actually drew what it might look like at the inside. So let's look at that. So here that is now, and it will follow the path of blood through the heart using this diagram. So let me start this out with a little picture in the corner. So let's say we have a person here. So that's their face. Oh, that's bad. That's their neck. They have their arms. And then right there in the middle, we'll draw their little heart. So the whole goal was to make sure that blood from all parts of the body, including their legs, will make its way back to the heart. So blood is going to come out from this arm and, let's say, get dumped into the heart. And it's going to come from the head and the other arms, and from all three of these sources, the two arms and the head, they come together into one big vein. And that's going to be dumping into the top of the heart. And then separately, you have veins from the legs, meaning veins from the belly, coming into another opening into the heart. So that's how the blood gets back to the heart. And anytime I mention the word vein, I just want to make sure you think of blood going towards the heart. Okay, great. Now, if blood is going towards the heart, after the blood is pumped by the heart, it's going to have to go out to the heart. So, right, it's going to have to go away from the heart. So that's the aorta. The aorta actually has the little arch, so like that. We call that the aortic arch, and it sends off one vessel to the arm, one vessel up this way, the vessel over this way, and this arch kind of goes down, 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 and splits like that. So this is kind of a simplified version of it. So you can see how there are definitely some parallels between how the veins and arteries are set up. And arteries, or anytime I mention the word artery, I want you to think about the blood going away from the heart. And an easy way to remember that is they both start with an A. So going to the big diagram, we can see that blood's coming this way, and blood's coming this way, and it's ending at the same spot. And it's going to end up at the, well, maybe let me just label it here. It's ending up with the right atrium, and that's just the name of the chamber where the blood ends up in. And it came up in the right atrium from a giant vessel up top called the superior vena cava. And this is a vein, of course, because it's bringing blood towards the heart, and down here, the inferior vena cava. So these are the two directions that the blood is going to be flowing. So once the blood is in the right atrium, it's going to head down into the right ventricle. So this is the right ventricle down here. This is the second chamber of the heart, and it gets there by passing through the valve. And all valves in the heart are basically there to keep blood moving in the right direction, so it doesn't go to backwards direction. So this valve is called the tricuspid valve. And it's called that because it's basically got three little flaps. So blood goes into the right ventricle, and where does it go next? Well, after that, it's going to go this way, and it's going to split. So it's going to split. But before it goes, it has to pass another valve. So this is actually a valve right here. Call it the pulmonary valve. And it gives you the clue where the things we are going to go to next, because as we learned before, the word pulmonary means lungs. And so if this is my lung on this side, this is my left lung, and if this is my right lung on this side, then these vessels and all that they trying to get will be called this will be my left pulmonary artery. And I hesitated there just to make sure that you got that, because it's taking blood away from the heart. And so then on the other side, that's my right pulmonary artery. So this is my right and left pulmonary arteries. So the blood goes down into my lungs, right? So these lungs that kind of nestle into my thorax where the heart sits, it goes into my lungs. And remember that this blood is blue. Why is it blue? Well, it's blue because it doesn't have very much oxygen. So one thing that I need to pick up is oxygen. So right there. So that's one thing what the lungs are going to help me pick up. And I'm going to write O2 for oxygen. And it's blue, and that reminds us that it's full of carbon dioxides, full of waste. So, carbon dioxides. Well, the body made a lot of carbon dioxides that it's trying to get rid of. So in the lungs, you get rid of the carbon dioxides and you pick up oxygen. So that's why I switch it in this point from blue-colored vessels to red-colored vessels. So now blood comes back this way. See, it comes this way and this way and dumps into this chamber. So what is that? That's our left atrium. So just like our right atrium, we have one on the left. And it goes down. You can probably guess it on this one. But it goes down into what's called the left ventricle. So just like before, where we went from the right atrium to the right ventricle, now we're going from the left atrium to the left ventricle. And it passed through this valve right here. Oh my goodness. It passed through this valve right here. And this valve is called the mitral valve. And its job is, of course, to make sure the blood does not go from the left ventricle back to the left atrium by accident. So it wants to make sure that there's forward flows. And then the final valve, I apologize for deleting everything. I kind of ran out of room. So feel free to rewind this if you needed to copy some more of that information down. But anyway, this final valve here, this is called the aortic valve. And the aortic valve is going to be what divides the left ventricle from this giant vessel here called, we talked about it earlier, called the aorta. So now blood is going to go through the aorta to the rest of the body. So you can now see how blood flows from the body into the four chambers. And this happens every moment of every day. Every time you heard your heart beating, this process is going on. So this concludes Lecture 2 of Unit 1.